Hey guys, Skis here, back with another Litecoin video. So I've been just more interested in Litecoin because I've been looking at, the data and the chart looks really good to me. And I think there's a lot of things that are actually really bullish about Litecoin. Plus, it's been kind of going sideways for 8 years. And I don't think that's going to last forever. So I actually did start accumulating Litecoin, about a week ago I started. But I also created this power regression band that you can see here. And I mean, I think I need to refit the top a little bit better because we've overshot it every time. So I'll probably refit the top of the band, but the middle and the bottom of it look pretty good to me so far. Um, so this is how it looks throughout Litecoin's entire history. You can kind of see we've hit the bottom many times. We actually fell below it a little bit here back in 2017. And you can argue we fell a little bit below it right here. I mean, we were kind of grinding on it, but we did go below it for a little bit of time, in 2024. So I think the middle of it's pretty, or the bottom looks pretty good. Like I said, the top might need to be refit. The middle also looks pretty solid. I mean, you can kind of see here, like basically tested it here, wicked right to it perfectly. You can see how we've interacted with it a bunch of times. And yeah, so this is how it looks right now. If we take a look at the pricing, the bottom of the band right now is at around $74.41. The middle is 171, and then the top is at around 571. So if we made it to the top right now, it would actually be setting an all-time high. I don't really think we're gonna make it to the top right now. Actually, let me flip to this Litecoin chart. It doesn't have as much data, but oh, it's not it. Yeah, it is. I have to do some weird stuff because I have the free plan on TradingView. But anyways, yeah, we're currently sitting at around $83.3. We're just a little bit above the bottom of the band. We're actually only 12% above it. So I think there's a chance, we do come back down to touch the bottom or at least hover around, in the high to mid 70s if we do continue to slide down, Bitcoin continues to slide down. I think we could obviously go lower for a little bit. I don't think we would go much lower because we have gone outside of it. So there is a chance that we go outside of it again. I mean, this isn't perfect. This is, my indicator that I created. So we might actually go a little bit lower. But you can actually see we've actually been between the middle and the lower parts of the regression band since May of 2022. And we've just been kind of going sideways. It's slightly up sideways, but basically sideways. And the range is actually pretty big. I mean, the top of it, like I said, is around 171. So I think we might just continue to go sideways for a little bit in here, which is a little annoying to say because we all just, want it to go up to like $1,000 or whatever your target is. But it's just the reality. And I think that, just having unrealistic expectations on the markets right now isn't going to, do you any good. So I think we're going to actually just grind within these two bands for longer, unfortunately. Maybe we just like do something like this for a while and then we can get a nice move up here. I don't know when that move's going to come, but I do think it will come for Litecoin. So if you actually take a look back into 2017, what's really interesting about this is that this is the weekly candles too, by the way. And you can just see for so long, it actually did even less than what it's doing now, right? Like it was basically just at $4 for weeks. It was spiked up to 6 at one point, went a little bit lower to like 3, but it was basically at like $4 for a long time. And then all of a sudden it's got a massive move. And if we actually overlay Bitcoin's chart on top of this, you can see what Bitcoin was doing, which is really interesting because it's kind of doing it right now too. Bitcoin, during this sideways period for Litecoin, you can see Bitcoin was actually already going up. And it didn't take until the second half of the bull market for Bitcoin for Litecoin to actually get its move up here. So if you take a look at what we're doing now, Bitcoin's been going up, right? It's been going up this whole time. Litecoin's just been going sideways. So it's actually still mimicking what it did in 2017, which I find really interesting. And I still think Bitcoin's going to get another move up. So maybe during this move up, that's when market conditions are a lot better. we're not like in quantitative tightening or anything like that, because I really think that does have an effect. So maybe like the second half of this move up will be more favorable market conditions, which allows Litecoin to make its move up, because I think that the markets aren't allowing not just Litecoin but altcoins in general to not really make moves up, and that's why it's really only Bitcoin right now. So yeah, I think Litecoin has a lot of potential. I think it's just following still what it did in 2017, which is just taking a lot longer to play out this time, which I think is what's making people really annoyed and like bored of Litecoin. But there have been so many things about Litecoin that I really, really like. So we're going to look at a few. So the first thing is that today, actually, like I was going through Twitter today, and this company, Luxfolio, they actually announced their Litecoin treasury strategy. So they bought, just under 5,000 Litecoin as part of their new treasury allocation, which I find really interesting, because most companies are doing this with Bitcoin, right? Like you hear about like Bitcoin reserves that these companies are buying up Bitcoin for, but you don't really hear much about Litecoin. But I actually think it's going to slightly start shifting a little bit towards Litecoin, because you got to realize Litecoin, like what it was built for and like what it's considered right now. It is a faster Bitcoin. And it is, I really like how it has the narrative of, being like the silver to Bitcoin's gold. I think narrative is really important. And you can see it everywhere. Like every time Bitcoin gets listed as, payments, or it's accepted somewhere, Litecoin is almost always also part of it. You always see Litecoin with it. So I really like that. So that was just really interesting. It happened today. And then you can also see Litecoin's hash rate, which is crazy, because this is basically the miners that are securing the network. And you can kind of see how crazy high it's been going. Like Litecoin's been doing nothing price-wise, but the hash rate is actually just skyrocketing. And it's been skyrocketing, for a while, like throughout the entire bear market. And it's actually at crazy levels right now. So the hash rate's really been going up, which is really good, because Litecoin has been around for a while. It's never gone down. It's never been like, the network's never been hacked or anything. And this is just making it even more secure, and just showing us that there's so many people mining it. And I really do think that there will be a time when people start to value Litecoin, maybe not as much as Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the first and is the goal, but I think people will start associating it Litecoin more and viewing it more in a way like Bitcoin. So that's another thing. Also, like last week, I did see this a week ago, but this came out, March 24th, so like a week ago. Litecoin's now available on Telegram for all non-US users. Of course, it'd be non-US, but yeah, Telegram is massive. A lot of people use Telegram. It's available. I mean, I haven't looked at it. Like, I don't use Telegram, but I've heard you can buy it on Telegram, transfer, send, receive, and everything. So Telegram is really, really popular, and now all the users, not in the US, have access to buy Litecoin and, send it and everything. So the adoption for Litecoin is actually there. It's really there. You can kind of see it in all the data. And then not only like you can see that, but then the chart itself has just been kind of doing nothing for around 8 years. I really think there will be a time when Litecoin gets a really big move, like it'll just start skyrocketing. I think something like this. I don't know how high it's gonna go, but I think like we will get a pretty big move on Litecoin at some point. Probably not for. It's definitely not happening until quantitative easing comes back, and I don't know when that's gonna come back. Like that could still take months. Like who knows how long that'll take, but all of these are increasing, right? Like the power bands are going to increase over time, so you can kind of see, like, if we drew it out a little bit, kind of how it would look. It's the top of it is already at around 500 plus. Like I think I need to refit it, because it's gone over it every single time so far, so I think I do need to refit it a little bit, but which would actually move it up a little bit more. But it's already at around 570. By the end of the year, it'll be at 660. I'll probably refit it by then. No, I'll definitely refit it by then, so we'll see what it is after I refit it. But I think that Litecoin really does have a lot of potential. Plus, you got to look at the market cap. So another thing that's really interesting is that I know we didn't actually put in a higher. Technically, we did put in a higher one on this chart, but on some charts, Litecoin double topped or went slightly lower than the 2017 than it did in 2021. But if you take a look at market cap, which I think is probably one of the most important things to take a look at. By the way, Litecoin's like ranked number 20, and I do think there will be a time when Litecoin makes it back into the top 10. So it definitely has room to go, and the top 10 would be at around, making it into the top 10 would be around 23 billion, which is almost a 4x from where Litecoin is right now. It's actually more than a 4x. So I'll put it at, whatever 83 times 4 is. But market cap wise, we have all time. Let's take a look. You can actually see it clearly went way higher in 2021 than it did in 2017. But then you might be wondering, then why did the price not go up? It's because the circulating supply went up, and within these 4 years, because Litecoin is still being mined. You can see here 75 million out of the 84 million are currently have been mined and are circulating. So that number is going to keep going up. It's slowing down because remember, every 4 years it gets cut in half how much miners get per block. Right now it's at around 6.25 per block. So every block you can get 6.25 Litecoin, which, that's actually still like pretty good. Honestly, 6.25, like I wouldn't mind 6.25. But the halving dates are not the same years as Bitcoin's. So if we take a look at Litecoin halving date, let's take a look at the next one. So the last one was in, I don't know when the last one, it was in 2023, because the next one's July 27th, 2027. So it's actually, we're like halfway into the next next halving, which would reduce it from 6.25 to 3.12. So that's just going to slow down the rate of Litecoins being mined. So I really like Litecoin. This video is already 12 minutes, so I'm going to stop here. But I really, really like it. I think that I know, like, because I see on Twitter so many times, people are just so annoyed of Litecoin. And I think, something that I'm pretty lucky, at least, is that I just started buying Litecoin now, even though I've been in the markets for a few years. So I kind of missed this entire period, so I don't have that same feeling of it just not really doing anything. But I think it might still not do anything for however much longer the markets are going to allow it to not do anything, which I have no idea how much longer that can last for. So it could last like years, honestly. Like it's already lasted a few years. So I don't know, but I do personally think that whenever we do get good, favorable market conditions, I think Litecoin will have a really, really big move. I mean, you can kind of see it from the things I showed you. And you can actually just see it in the data too. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.